Okay, so in front of us is an Xbox One X. So this thing can actually power on, as you can see, but unfortunately it won't display anything, and on top of being able to power on, it can stay on pretty much indefinitely. So I'm just going to demonstrate this by using a stopwatch over here. Okay, as you can see, this thing has been on for about 5 minutes now. Now, the reason why I've left this thing running for 5 minutes is to demonstrate that it doesn't just shut itself off, it turns on and it seemingly stays on. If we now press the power button after 5 minutes, it turns itself off. My impression is that this Xbox One X works, minus the fact that it seemingly can't display anything. So the obvious guess, as you can imagine, is that we have a dead retimer chip, as that is apparently quite common on these consoles, but in either case, let's go ahead and take it apart and try to figure out which component has died. Okay, so I've gone around and taken a few resistance measurements. So for example, this power plane, this one, and I think this one are all connected. They're about 3 kilo ohms. While this one over here is 127 ohms. I'm not sure if it's significant. Anyways, I haven't found any definitive proof of what's dead, but given that it's rather common for the HDMI retimer chip to die, I'm just going to go ahead and replace it, and then we'll take another resistance measurement and see if it's well, any better, and if it is, we'll plug it in and see if it's any more functional. So you may remember that before we had 127 ohms on this pad over here. This is like one of the main power planes that is used to supply power to the retimer chip. And now in resistance mode it is 8 kilo ohms and rising, so I guess it'll settle around 9.1, 9.2 if I had to guess. There's a very clear improvement on this, so I'm going to guess that it really was just the retimer chip. But in either case, let's go ahead and put the thing back together and see if it becomes any more functional. Okay, so as you saw, I replaced the HDMI retimer chip on the Xbox One X. If we now power it on, you'll notice that we now have a display, as you can see. So yes, it was actually the retimer chip. So despite the fact that this thing now turns on and seemingly works, it actually has one additional problem. You see, if you try to, let's say, connect to a wireless network, what you find basically is that you won't be able to connect to one because the Xbox One X will say, and you'll see this in a second, that there's a network cable plugged in, despite the fact that there is actually no network cable plugged in. So let me show you what's wrong with the Xbox, and then we'll take it apart and fix it one more time. Okay, as you can see, we're looking at the back of the Xbox One X. At this point, it should be rather obvious what's wrong with the console, and in particular why the Ethernet port seems to think it's plugged in, even when it isn't. If we zoom in on the RJ45 port on the very back, and I shine a flashlight, it should be rather obvious that we have a few bent pins, as you can kind of see. I'm not sure how visible it is on camera, but it's dead obvious to me. Anyways, if I had to guess, I would say that what's likely happened is somebody has tried to insert a Ethernet cable into the port upside down, and instead of taking it out and double checking its orientation when it didn't go in, they instead decided to just jam it harder, because apparently that's how you get things to work with electronics. Anyways. Okay, so as you should be able to see, I've gone ahead and replaced the Ethernet port, if you could just focus. There we go. So anyways, as you can see, the pins are just fine, or at least you should be able to see it. So let's go ahead and put this back into the Xbox and test it. Anyways, as you can see, by the screen itself, it says that our current network status is wired on the right, and that we do actually have working internet. Anyways, let's go ahead and stress test the Xbox once it finishes downloading, and then we should be good to go. Okay, as you can see, the Xbox One X now works. All I had was a dead HDMI retimer chip, as well as a user-damaged Ethernet port. So, if you have a broken electronic that you'd like to have looked at, I have a website, link in the description, www.techcenter.com. I look at basically anything these days, including consoles, laptops, graphics cards, metal detector remotes, and like I said, basically anything. Otherwise, despite the relatively simple repair, I do hope you learned something and watched this video, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.